So Dhruv is saying generic class is used to find compile time errors. Okay, so that is basically because of not to find the compile time error, but when we bind the values uh, at that time, the value compatibility has to be checked at the compile time, right? So before the use of generic concept, that is prior to JDK 1.5, we were not having any facility in Java to check the type compatibility. So whatever user was entering, that was given at the runtime, right? So which would lead the project or the software, if it will make the project inefficient. Okay, so to deal with this, the concept of generic was launched, and generic is used to find out the type compatibility related things at the compile time rather than at the runtime. Okay, along with that, we also learn about the recursion. What is recursion and what is tail recursion? We also discuss about the difference between recursion and iterative methods. So we do have recursive methods and iterative methods. What is it? Recursive method and iterative methods. Nobody is aware. What is iterative method? What is recursive method? So usually iterative methods are the one which are used with the help of repetitive control structure, that is using loops, and recursive methods are the way to calling method calling itself, right? And we say it somehow recursion is giving the overhead, and that's why to make the recursion efficient, we should go with the tail recursion. And tail recursion, yeah, exactly. In the tail recursion, the last statement should be the recursive method call. And in that way, we will make our stack to use the less memory, and it will make our recursion efficient. Right. So this was the discussion of last session, right? And as the as Dhruv said, that generic is enables us to detect the compile time error rather than at the runtime, and we can just go with the generic array list class, and we can just define the generic way to general way to define a particular type of the structure being used. Fine. So today we are going to go ahead and going to discuss about how to define generic class and generic interface. So generic type can also be used for a class or interface, and when you are doing so, basically what you do is a concrete type must be specified when using the class to create the object, right? So usually what you do is you create a class and inside that you are maintaining or you are mentioning the data members, and you are going to give the particular values of data members using the methods, right? So when we are using a class or reference, usually we declare an object, right? Usually we declare an object. So when you are defining or you're going in a such a way, we call it as a concrete class, right? We call it as a concrete, right? So concrete type must be specified when you are using a class for the object creation. Okay. So if I am defining a generic class, let us say I have generic stack. As we say, the genericity can be shown by triangular bracket. Either you can write T or E. Yesterday we said that, right? Either we can use T or E. Fine. So over here we have generic stack E, which is elements of this stack. We have minus list, right, which is the private member. It's an array to list the stored elements, right? So over here, this is the class representation. This is we say generic stack is a class. This is the data member, private list. List is an way to display your elements. So inbuilt class generic stack is having the array list as a data method, and the minus sign shows that it's a private. Along with that, we have a public constructor generic stack. We have method get size to get the number of elements available in the stack. We have pick. Pick is to take or to read the value from the top element, because we know that the stack we always go with the topmost element, right? We have pop, which removes the variable from the stack. We have push, which is adding the new element in the stack. And we have one more method, which is empty. Is empty. It will check whether the stack is empty or not. So it's having a boolean return type. Fine. So you can see here we have taken a generic stack, public class generic stack element E, and we have taken java.util.arraylist E, list equal to new array list. Fine. So now list is holding. List can hold different items, different elements, and these are the methods. Get size, we say list dot size. We say pick to get the topmost element, so we have to say list dot get size minus 1. Get size minus 1 is starting from 0 to size, and size minus 1 is the topmost element. Push is to add a new element, so we know that array list is having the these all methods, right? Size, get size, add, remove. So we are adding the object row. Then we have pop, that is to remove an element from the stack. So what we are doing is we have taken a E, which is an element of array type, and we said list dot get size minus 1 and list dot remove get size minus 1. So it is going to remove the topmost element. Is empty is going to check whether the list is empty or not. And toString, if you recall, array list is having a built-in method toString. We are using for our use, we have to override. So we are overriding at the rate O capital, override. What we are doing is we say the stack and we say plus list dot toString. So it will display all the elements of our string. Fine. Now what we did over here is, this is the code inside the main method. We have created generic string, generic stack string, and generic string integer. Are you understanding the concept? What we did is generic stack will declare a class. And when we specified E in a triangular bracket, it means that we are going to go in general. It could be anything. It could be any data type, right? And as it could be any data type, over here, the first object of generic stack, that is stack 1, is holding the string type of value. And the second object, stack 2, is going to hold the integer type of value, right? Right? So what we are doing is, we are adding the elements. So we say, so first we declared generic stack. Now in the triangular bracket where E or T is specifying in general, while declaring the object, you have to be concrete. That's what we say, right? A concrete type must be specified. Concrete type is what is the exact type of the data elements you are going to use. And as we see, we are going to use string and integer. So in the triangular bracket, we have to be specified. When we have to be very much specific and clear about the data type. So we say the string stack 1 is equal to generic stack, and we use the push, right? So we say stack 1 dot push London, stack 1 dot push Paris, and stack 1 dot push Berlin, right? So list 1 is having 3 cities. Now we are adding the we are taking the second object, generic stack. In the triangular bracket, you specified integer. So now while declaring the object concrete class, so you are saying that concrete object, you are being specific that this object is going to hold the integer values, and using that object you called the push object, push method. Be sure about the fact that we do have over here a generic class. We are learning how to define a generic class. We are having a generic class which is named as generic stack. As it's a class, It is having the method get size, pick, push, pop, is empty and toString. Fine. As this is the class, we can declare an object. But what would be the type of object that we are not specifying, because we are using triangular brackets. We are saying it is generic in general. It can go with any type. And that's why when you declare a generic stack type object, when you are declaring an object stack 1 and stack 2, you are specifying what type of object value it will deal with. So this is the purpose of generic. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Fine. So this is the example how to create a generic class. Should I move forward? Should I move forward? Fine. Guys, kindly acknowledge. I'm waiting for your chat reply. Okay. Now, let us learn how to have the generic method. The example which we have seen in the previous slide was about how to have the generic class. This is generic class. Yes or no? Right? This we created a generic class. Now what we want to create is generic method. So a generic method can be defined, a generic type can be defined for a static method. What is static? What is static? Static methods are those methods which can be used without declaration of an object, and that's why we are using the static void main. When you are executing your program without using the object, you are calling the main. Are we doing that? Generic method class, generic method demo, G1 is the object and we say G1.main. Right? That's what we do with the normal methods. But when we have static keyword, the method of that class can be used without help of object. Right? And now when we are saying we are going to define a generic method, it must has to be static. It must has to be static, because at the compile time you are going to find, or you are going to check the type compatibility of the values being attached. Fine? And that's why what we do is, whenever we define a generic method, we will go with the static methods. That generic method can be defined for a static method. So you see here, we have, what we have over here is, we have generic class demo. This is my class, public class generic method demo. It is having a main method. Now over here, I'm taking two arrays, right? Integer and string. We know that these are the wrapper classes, right? And that's why integers and strings are the arrays. And this is the value assignment. We are assigning the value. So integers, index 0, 1, index 1 is 2, index 2 is 3, index 3 is 4, and index 4 is 5. Similar way for the strings, string element 0 is London, string element 1 is Paris, string element 2 is New York, and string element 3 is Austin. Right? Now, what we are going to do is, we have to print this. Now imagine, if I am going with the specific or the normal method, which is not generic, right? Which is not generic. In that case, I have to be specific. I have to be specific about what type it is, and based on that we will do the print method. But now what we are doing is, we are defining the general print method, which could work with any of the data type. Not only for integer, not only for string. In general, it should work for everything. And that's why we are taking static, right? And we are making it a generic. Triangular bracket E, generic. We said void print, what it takes? It takes a general array. So it could be integer array or it could be string array. It's treated as a list, right? We know that whether it's an integers array or strings array, it starts with element 0 and we have to access it till length -1. Fine? So we have taken that for accessing elements 0 till I less than, I is the index, I less than list dot length. Fine. So for the integers, it will be executed from 0 to 4, that is total of 5 times. And for strings, it will be executed for 0 to 3, that is total 4 times, because we have 4 cities. Is it clear? Is it clear? Right? So what it does, when I'm creating or when I'm calling it, how we have to call it? You see, we are calling it, either I can write the class name directly. So I've written the class name directly. I'm writing generic method demo, which is our class, right? How to call static method, sorry, how to call a generic method. What I have is, I have generic class demo, right? So it's method we want to use. So we took that class name, we said dot, and now you have to give concrete type. Concrete type. So when I'm saying integer and I say print integers, so in that case it will access or it will print this values. It will print this values. Fine. Second time when I'm given the concrete type string and I'm calling the generic method print, so this method will be called, but that's this time the list being provided is of string type. Second time when we call it will be of string type. Fine. So this is generic. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now suppose you are thinking like why we do so. But think about a simple case. If you are going to print this without a generic, what you will do is you will specify the list type. Right? If it is not general, here you have to pass an integer array and you need to design a second method by method overloading. What is method overloading? When the type of the parameters are differing, but the signature and work is the same, we can go with the method overloading. Yes or no? In method overloading, signature is different, name of the methods are same. So name of the method is print for integer, print for string, right? But the argument being taken, in the case 1 will take an integer array, in case 2 we will take string array. So to avoid that burden of writing multiple times methods with the slight change, only the changes argument type is different, right? We are making it in general. So this will reduce size of your code. Is it clear why we are using generic method? Is it clear? Should I move forward? Yes or no? Right? So if I say to declare a generic method, place a generic type E immediately after the keyword static. Method has to be static. So we say public static, then generic type E, and we say the return type of the method name, again argument in the generic type, right? And to invoke the generic method, you have to prefix the method name with the actual type, like integer or string. With the actual type, you need to prefix the method so that it will be clear what type of method we are going to call. And if the actual type is not explicitly specified, suppose you are not doing that, you are removing that part, you are not writing triangular bracket integer and strings, in that case your compiler will automatically discovers the actual type and it will do the binding of method automatically. Fine. So this is all about your generic method. Is there any question or any doubt? How to design and call a generic method? Is my voice clear, guys? Mahek, what you want me to repeat? Declaration or method calling? I guess this slide is repeating the thing. You still want me to repeat? Mahek? Method calling. Okay. Now, in general, when you call a method, have you called? Suppose this is not a generic method. If this is not a generic method, then what we will do? We'll just write method name and we'll pass the parameter. Right? Method name and parameter. But as it is generic, how you will call is, you'll call class object, or you can go with the class name. Dot This we can go with the normal class also. You can just write your class name and you can write dot method name. But when it is generic, you have to specify the concrete type. You have to say about which values you are calling this. And that specification will give in a triangular bracket. Less than, greater than. In between you will write the type. Are you getting the point? Right? It's a very simple thing. You can see over here. As the type says, we are going to specify E, which is the generic type, right? So this is the method signature, right? Method definition, how or actually the actual code of that method. When you are calling it, it says that it is better to specify what is the concrete type, actually which solid type you want to use. So here we want to use integers, right? So it is better to specify that type while calling the method, right? And that's why in a triangular bracket, integer and string we have specified. What the literature says, it says that in case if you are not specifying, suppose you are not specifying it and you are just directly calling the method, in that case your compiler will automatically discover the actual type, right? Your compiler will automatically discover the actual type. So this is how we can call a method, right? So you have to invoke a generic method with a prefix, the method name with the actual type in a angle bracket. Angle bracket is triangular bracket, less than and greater than. Now clear, Mahek? Is it clear now? Okay. So now we are moving to the next topic, which is about row types and backward compatibility. Now, when we were at the last slide, what we said is, if you are not specifying, right, your compiler will discover the actual type, right? So when your compiler is discovering the actual type, it has to look for the compatibility. It has to look for the compatibility, right? So what we are saying is, a generic class or interface, if it is used without specifying the concrete type, it is like when you're calling, you're not saying whether it's integer or string. You're just being still in the call also in a general type. In that case, we call it as a row type. We call it as a row type. Are you getting the point? For example, you see here the same class. This is our class, generic stack, right? Generic stack. What we did in a generic stack is, we specified that it is a string here. One column. This is generic class, right? So while creating the object here, E says this class is generic. So we have to specify what is the type. Suppose you are not specifying. If I'm not specifying, then what I will write is this: generic stack, new generic stack. So this is called row type. Why row type? Because still we are not specifying what is the type. It could be anything. So this is called row type. Fine. What it says, a generic class or interface used without specifying concrete type. Concrete type is any primitive data type. If we have not specified, we call it as a row type, right? And this enables the backward compatibility with the earlier version of Java. Why? Because we said before JDK 1.5, this was the scenario, right? The triangular bracket and the specification came JDK 1.5 onwards, and that's why even with the newer version, that is new versions of Java 1.5, 1.6, even we are using 1.8 and 1.12 is in the market. Fine. For all those new version also, this is permissible. This is permissible. You can go with this, right? But when you're writing this in the newer version, it is equivalent to object. It is equivalent to object. Why it is equivalent to object? Because we know that all the objects or all the primitive types are somehow the object of a wrapper class. And that's why you can, when you are declaring an object of generic class or interface which is of row type without specification of concrete type, it will be equivalent to the this one, generic class object stack. Fine? Fine? Is it clear? Fine? So in the both the previous example, generic stack and array list, if we are using without parameter type, suppose here also we are not specifying the type, generic type, and in the array list here also, if I'm not specifying the string and integer, I'm not writing this brackets, in that case it will be the row type, right? It will be the row type, and this is given because we want to have the backward compatibility with the older version of Java, right? So whenever we are using the any version of Java, and it is always recommended. See, with the operating with the programming language, there are the things which called backward compatibility, and there is one more word which is called deprecation. Have you ever heard deprecated methods of Java? Have you ever heard? Anyone? What is deprecation? What is that, Devarsh? Can you tell me what is deprecation?
અમુક એવી મેથડ કે જે પ્રીવિયસ વર્ઝનમાં હોય ને ન્યુ વર્ઝનમાં ન ચાલતી હોય.
ન ચાલતી હોય in the sense like I'll show you. જ્યારે ન ચાલતી હોય ને ત્યારે it's not like it totally it will give you an error because
અથવા એની બદલે કાંઈક બીજી આવી ગઈ હોય એને રિપ્લેસ.
exactly because we have something which is more better than that one. Are you getting the point? Right? So when I'm having certain code, it is there are chances that we develop certain let us talk about the real life scenario. There are so many products in the market which was developed using Java, and till date it is being used, right? Till date it is being used. Now what happens if new version is coming, if new version of JDK is coming, what they will do is, by seeing the current scenario, they will just go with the newer method. They will provide us a new method. Now, when they provide the new method, they cannot discard totally the old method. The reason is because there are so many software in the market which are still using the older method. So when you develop a software, suppose you are doing coding as a fresher and you don't know about all these things, you are not aware about what is deprecation and what is all those things, right? So in that case, what happens? You will keep on coding using whatever literature you find from the internet and whatever learning material you find. So see here, this is one example of deprecation. Can you see a strikeout? Can you see a strikeout? Can you see a strikeout method here? Build a session factory. एक line देखा, it's black color no strikeout. Right? What does that strikeout means? The strikeout means that this method is deprecated. Deprecated means this was available in the older version. In the new version of this is Hibernate, 6th semester advanced Java. So don't worry if you're not understanding. You have to just focus here in the strike. So what I say is, this is deprecated method. More efficient method is available, but this is still there. If you want to go with this, go. But Java documentation suggests do not use this, because we do have more efficient and more powerful method than this available in the newer version. That's called deprecation. What we are discussing is, what I want to conclude is, deprecated methods are there still. They are allowed to use because in the market we would have some projects which are developed earlier, and to have the backward compatibility, we need to keep it over there. Right? So what we said is, Generic type is available. It is available since JDK 1.5. But there are lot many code which was written before the launch of JDK 1.5 where we do not have the concept of this angle bracket, less than, greater than, and specifying the concrete type. That concept was not there. At that time we were doing something like this, right? And that's why even if with the generic type you are not specifying the concrete type, it's okay. It is accepted in order to support the backward compatibility. Is it clear? Right? Is it clear? So when we are not specifying the bracket, we call it as a row type, and row type is supported because lots of code still uses the row type comparable. Fine? Is it clear? Should I move forward? Should I move forward? Yes or no? Guys, can I have the acknowledgement? Okay. So row type and backward compatibility. So given an example, you see we have a public class max, right? And we have a public static comparable max. What it will do is it will compare two objects. It will compare two objects. So we have comparable object 1 and comparable object 2. We are calling object 1 dot compare to. Now comparable is what? Comparable, we know that it's an interface. Java.lang dot comparable, right? So it is available since JDK 1.5 to allow you to comparison of two different objects. So comparable is an interface. In last unit, I guess we have gone with it. Yes or no? Comparable interface. So it is having a method which is comparable. Compare to. Compare to is the method of comparable interface. So what we did is, what we have done over here is, it will return us the maximum object. Object having the maximum value. Now, you see here, we have public class max, right? We have public static comparable max. We compare two objects, comparable 1 and comparable 2. Object 1 dot compare to 2 if it is greater than 0. I guess we have gone through this compare to method also. We said if object 1 is returning the positive value, it means that object 1 is greater, right? And that's why it is returning object 1. But if object 1 is object 1 dot compared to object 2 is returning some value which is less than 0, it means object 2 is greater. In short, values of object 1 will be subtracted minus object 2. If it is positive number, then obviously object 1 is greater. But if it is negative, then object 2 is greater, right? Now, you see here. Here, the declaration of object 1 and object 2 are row type because we have not specified whether it's integer or string, right? Whether it's integer or string. So be careful. What we are saying is row types are unsafe. Row types where you are not specifying the concrete type. What is object 1 and what is object 2? Is it integer? Both are integer or both are string? We are not specifying. In that case, if somebody calls max with two different type, what is two different type? String and integer. Can you see this? String and integer. Comparable is generic. It can accept any type, right? But for the comparison, the basic condition is both should be either integer or both should be string. This is some different scenario where objects are not of the same type. And as objects are not of the same type, when I'm calling public class method max with two argument, welcome and 23, welcome is my object 1. So object 1 dot object 223 will obviously return me a runtime error. Because as per the language rule, we can't compare a string with an integer object. Fine? Fine? Are you getting? So what we want to focus over here is, what we want to focus over here is, it is always better, it is always better to write a code with the generic type, right? So what you can use is, we can go with max using a generic type. We can say public static, we said static method should be there, and we said e extends comparable e, right? And we said max eo1 and eo2. Now you can say object 1 dot compared to o2, the same logic, we are comparing two objects, right? We're comparing two objects, so this is always better, right? So here again, I'm saying again, as per the rule, we cannot compare string with the integer, but instead of compile time, here will give runtime, here will be given compile time error, right? Here will be given the compile time error, because max using generic type must have a same type. So this error will be getting at the compile time. So compile time errors are always better and accepted than the runtime errors. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any question, any doubt in the row type and backward compatibility? Should I move forward? Guys, please acknowledge. Should I move forward? I'm waiting for your acknowledgement in the chat window. Okay, fine. So now there's a one thing. Your generic can be the bounded or unbounded type. Up till now, what we said, a generic could be a row type when we are not specifying the object. Now we are saying that a generic can be bounded also, right? So what is generic type? What type of generic is known as bounded? Let us see. A generic can be specified as a subtype of another type. Are you getting the point? What I'm saying is, a generic type can be specified as a subtype of another type, right? Such generic type are known as bounded. They are known as bounded. Look at here what we have. We have a public class bounded type demo having a main method. We are taking two different objects. Rectangle equal to new rectangle and circle is equal to new circle. We know that rectangle and circle are two geometric objects, and a Java gives you the rectangle and circle as a built-in class, right? They're given as a built-in class. As they are the Java API object, ideally we can go and we can just compare them. Why? Because right now rectangle and circle are the members or are the object of a geometric class, geometric object class, right? So what we are doing is we are comparing the area of these two. How you can compare the area of these two? So we are just creating a method which is equal area, which takes two different objects in the argument, rectangle and circle, right? Here we have specified it. Now you see, up till now what we did, when we were having a generic method, in a generic method, we were writing public static, then E in the angular bracket. Now we are saying that this E extends a geometric object. What does it mean? Now the generic type, we are being specific that this generic type will be having a subtype. It could be anything from the geometric object. It could be rectangle, it could be square, it could be circle, it could be anything from the given generic geometric object class. Are you getting right? You see what you did here. What you did here, you have just given public static E. When you're saying E, it could be anything. It could be integer, it could be string, it could be float, it could be double, it could be any object. But now when I'm specifying here that it will be something from geometric class, I'm being specific. So a generic type can be specified as a subtype of another type. as a subtype of another type. This is called bounded. We are bounding. We are not giving the wide choice. Wider choices are not available. We are just limiting. We are giving a boundary. So this is called bounded generic type. Is it clear? Is it clear? In the bounded generic type, we will have the keyword extends and will specify the class. So only the objects of these class are going to be compared. Because we know that if we are giving a generic type E less than E greater than, and we are not doing this extends geometry, we are not writing, it can take any two objects. So if I am taking a circle and lone, we know that lone will not have area. Area is possible with the geometric object only, right? So that's why we are making this generic to be bounded. So this is called bounded generic type. Is it clear? Row type, where we don't have the specification. Bounded, where the subtype is being specified from the another type. Clear? Clear? Should I move forward? Yes or no? Now, as we see that we can have the generic type, and now we can just be very much specific, right? So what you can do is you can go with the further specification of your generic types, which we call the wildcard generic type. In the wildcard generic type, you can use either unbounded wildcards, bounded wildcards, or lower bounded wildcard. So usually wildcard generic types are specifying the range, right? It is specifying the range up till which range you can go. Fine. So there are basic three wildcard generic type. It takes three forms. Unbounded wildcard, right? When we are using the unbounded wildcard, we can go with the question mark. We can go with the question mark. Bounded wildcard, when I say bounded, we can go with question mark extends T. Question mark extends T. And when you want to go with the lower bound wildcard, you can go with question mark super T. You can go with question mark super T. So in such cases, when we are using the wildcard generic type, our signature will be something like this. We'll use public static because the generic method should always be static. So we are writing public static double max. We said generic stack, and we said less than question mark extends number, and we're writing stack. What does it mean? It means that this is bounded wildcard. This is bounded wildcard generic method. Fine. So see here, this is wildcard need demo. Why we need it? Why we need wildcard? That we are discussing from this example. We have wildcard need demo class main method. We specified we specified a generic stack, right? As we have generic stack, we are going to have, this is generic class generic stack. We are being specific that we are going to use the integer, right? We are going to use the integer. Now what we want is, we want to find out the max. We want to find out the maximum number from the given elements. So what we did is, we designed a max method. Over here max method is the generic method, because it takes the generic argument, generic stack, number stack. So generic class object is given as an argument. Now to find out the maximum, what we did, we said stack dot pop dot double value, right? We are initializing the max, and we said while stack is not empty, unless the stack is not empty, what you are doing is you are just going to take double value is equal to stack dot pop dot double value. If value is greater than max, then give value inside the max variable and return the max, right? Now see, what is the situation? Here we have taken an object integer stack, right? We gave integer stack, and as it was the generic class is general, so we can go with the double, we can go with the integer, we can go with anything, right? And this class is having a method which is generic, so it can also accept any type. So the situation is we are giving max integer stack, so you gave three entire the stack elements, so you gave these numbers as an integer in argument. But the generic method which accepts the generic argument is having the double as a return type. Are you getting the point? You're giving the, you want to find maximum from the integer, but in return you are getting a double number. So this will give you an error. Fine. So what is the solution? You can go with the wildcard. Right? If you're using the wildcard, you see that we said unbounded. Unbounded means we are not specifying, we are not being strictly typed. We will have the flexibility. So we do have unbounded wildcard, and we can go with unbounded wildcard method by specifying the question mark, and it will allow you to go with the in general any type. Fine. Is it clear? Any question, any doubt? Row type will work, but you understand these. The problem is what? Row type is when you are giving here, when you are using it, when you're using or you're creating an object of the generic class, you must specify the concrete type. That's what we discussed, right? You have to specify at the time of declaring object, right? And similar way, when you are having a method, you can be here row type, but what about this? This is the return value of a method. That will be any like primitive type only, and that's why you can go with the wildcard entry. Generic wildcard. Fine. Is it clear? Okay. So we are still remaining with the two more topics from the unit, which is erasure and restriction on generics. So we will be discussing this in the next lecture, as we are running out of time for today's lecture. So if we conclude today's lecture, what we learn is we learn how to how we can go with the generic methods, right? We learn what is row type and what is backward compatibility. We learned that what is bounded generic, and we said that when we have a generic, it can be have further three forms, that is unbounded wildcard, bounded wildcard, and lower bounded wildcard, and we learn the notations for that, right? And along with that, we learn why we need the wildcard. Fine. So that's it for today. Any doubt, any query, anybody? Anyone? I again suggest, guys, this is real Java. Up till now, whatever you learn was similar to your C language, but this is the real concept of Java programming. So I suggest try to read whatever we are discussing, try to read it from some literature. That's it from my end today.